The Sugarmill for Cosmic Fest.
Pyramid UFO ships over every major city on the Earth. People are exhilarated. I'm scared. Reptilian strange creatures are beaming down. My God, they're beaming me up with them. Don't put that probe there. Don't put that probe there. Don't put ooh. Listen to the The-Church-of-Mabus show at 11 p.m. Eastern, Saturday nights with host Jeffrey Pritchard, bringing you the high strange. Visit www.churchofmabusradio.com. That's www.churchofmabusradio.com.
Tune in to the Mind Cemetery with your
statement. The Mind Cemetery, where the paranoia about the paranormal comes to rest.
Follow us on Twitter and subscribe to us on Facebook. Also, check us out on our website, mindcemetery.com, for show updates and the critically acclaimed Mind Cemetery blog.
It's not critically acclaimed, but you should check it out anyway, mindcemetery.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, the world needs to hear the truth.
Is withholding information from the general public on this subject. Welcome to the Church-of-Mabus radio show, everybody. We're back for 2013. We're entering year 4. This will be the 4th year on the network. I actually had to look back at the archives and like, am I right? Is this going to be the 4th year? And it's the 4th year. We're entering the 4th year, so it's a pleasure to be on UFO Paranormal Radio Network. And, yes, Glenn Speck, I survived Doomsday. That's sham. I survived it. Enjoyed Christmas and my birthday. My birthday was the day after Christmas, and New Year's, and stuffed my face a lot, watched a lot of movies. Some movies I saw, The Hobbit, I loved it. Another one I saw today, the Django Unchained by Tarantino, loved it. Couldn't recommend, both of those are just excellent. About to see Hitchcock soon with Anthony Hopkins and Helen Mirren, where they're making Psycho the movie. I can't wait to watch that pretty soon too, but Django Unchained was great, though. I love Westerns, and you throw some Tarantino in there, you're going to get a Western, a crazy Western, but a Western, no doubt. But just a few things before we get to our guest, Thomas N. Hackney on the ETI Grail. I want to pay some respect to the passing of Philip Coppens from Ancient Aliens. He passed away from a rare form of cancer recently, and I've interviewed him on Examiner, and he was scheduled for this year for a new book, second piece to the Lost Civilization Enigma, and I heard that he was sick and wrote him to check on him and, and asked him if he was still going to do March, because I didn't know if he was, going through chemo or what, and then the same day that I wrote him to ask, I found out he passed away, and it was just really sad that somebody that intelligent and great and smart and just really nice, just a really kind person, and he asked to do the show, and I was like, sure, yeah, you can do the show. And I just found out that he passed away, and it was just sad. And then I'm a cancer survivor myself, of course. I can't even pronounce what he had. It's very rare. Mine was testicular. That's like 90% curable, if not 100% curable now. So it's two different kinds of cancer. But anytime the big C takes someone, it hurts me, and it reminds me of going through all that stuff. So it's just really a loss that's horrible, and it's just sad. But now he knows all the answers that he's been seeking, hopefully, and more than we do, as he's passed on to the other realm. And definitely keep his wife, I believe her name is Kathleen, and I think McGowan. They were just married. That's another sad part of it, but keep them in your prayers. The big C. But what else? Anything you want to say about that, Jerry?
Well, yeah, it just seems like it was too early, and it's definitely a shame because I know a lot of his research was really starting to get out there and be known, and being here in Southern California, we're pretty fortunate because we have a lot of people in the community kind of located around here. So at the same time, it was interesting to see the impact on the community here. It was very personal is what I saw the reaction. So it's a testament to what you're saying about the good nature of them, really. So but I like to tell people, especially in light of the subjects we research here, that include things about life persisting beyond physical death. We don't ever really go anywhere. So in a lot of ways, he's now closer to everyone than he ever was before. So it's a matter of listening. But it'll be interesting to see how things manifest in the future, and see about the book's still going to be coming out and stuff. I really want to read that still. So, but
yeah, definitely. With New Page Books, and yeah, he was at Forest Lawn Cemetery. I believe that's where the memorial and stuff was. I saw the event. It was Forest Lawn. But may he rest in peace. And another great one that passed away under weird conditions, Mac Tawney's from Natural Causes. I don't know the details, but that was another strange kind of an icon in ufology that passed away. That was I've read. I forget what his book was called, but it was the newest one he had before he passed, and that's another strange one. When people like this pass away, it gives me the creeps, because I'm wondering, I get paranoid, if it's something, when someone gets a rare form of cancer, it's just kind of creepy when you're in the ufology field, in my opinion. It gives me the creeps. But let's not really get into that. But, what else? Got some great guests coming up. Just talked to Brad Steger and Sherry Steger. They're coming in February. In March, I got Jim Mars. He's coming. He has a new book coming out called Occulted History. Something about why the elites concealed ancient aliens. So, trying to get some really good guests. Scott Allen Roberts, I'm working on him, and Micah Hand. Got some great guests coming up, so keep your ears and eyes open for some great guests coming up. So I'm trying to keep them unique and rare, and working with some publishers to keep them flowing, and definitely that's what we're known for, is providing unique guests. So that's what I'm aiming for this year, for year 4. And about co-hosts, as you know, I've been doing the carouseling co-host situation on the Carousel of Souls, and right now, Beelzebub and Jerry and Erica, they're pretty much. I'm just going to keep doing this. I like doing this. I like switching up co-hosts. Keeps it fresh, keeps new perspectives in, and other people that are familiar with other parts of the community and scene. And, Jerry's involved with Project Camelot and Septia Radio and all kinds of stuff. I just like to get other people that have a different perspective in, and it kind of keeps things fresh. So,
actually, Jeff, if you don't mind making an announcement here real quick about the Project Camelot thing. Because actually, this just recently happened too over the past week. I have been working with Project Camelot since the beginning of 2012, really officially, and but since then, there's been a lot of stuff that's happened over there, which is really cool. There's a certain direction being formulated with Project Camelot, At the same time, Tommy and I, one of the, pretty much like Carrie's number 2 for over 3 years now, and I had been working on different endeavors too. They're slightly outside of the realm of Camelot. So it seems now is the time where we're going to go ahead and make a parting of paths in a sense, wishing each other all the best of luck, of course, because there really is no competition here. We're all just trying to get the message out, really. And so Tommy and I are going to go ahead and reboot the old Universal Truth Evolution. As I'm sure you probably remember, Jeff, you've been on my show back in the day then. We had some fun.
Definitely.
Yeah, and so we're doing a reboot. It's going to be bigger, badder, more exciting. Lot of new things. The website's actually already up and running, which is universaltruthevolution.com, all one word. And right now we have just some music playing on our broadcast, but we're looking to expand that broadcast with more conscious media of all varieties. So it's not just going to be hardcore whistleblowing stuff. It'll also be political stuff. It'll be and we're hoping to have contributing editors too, and just really make it more of a community endeavor too in general. So really excited about this. So it's going to be really cool.
Oh, welcome back. I remember doing the show, and I've been on there a couple of times, I think.
Yeah, I think we had done twice, I think. Yeah, that was
always a blast.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely. Always a blast, and good to see y'all coming back. Making a comeback. They take you out, and they put you right back in. That's right. All right, well, let's get to the guest. Thomas, are you there?
Yes, I am.
How are you doing tonight?
Pretty good.
Me
How
too. I'm doing pretty good. Hanging in there. Well, Thomas's book is the ETI Grail, and very interesting. And I've read it, and it's a lot to take in, but my brain's finally connected with it on some level. But I'm trying to. I guess I want to know the origins of how you started doing this type of research, and to summarize, the book's pretty much my summarization. I'm sure Thomas can do it a lot better than me, but it's about intelligences, I guess alien intelligences, communicating and events happening that are involved with these intelligences in the Earth and, I guess, around the Earth, like space-wise. And he chronicles this in the book and gets into it very heavily. And I guess, Thomas, if you could just tell us how you began this project, this book. What got you into it?
The project began when the first signal was dispatched and received. And ever since then, I've been just looking at every angle, trying to figure out what they're trying to tell us. And I think I figured it out. It's pretty actually straightforward, but there's a lot of, it's an open-ended message, so it's not easily, pinned down into like one or two paragraphs. It's rather comprehensive. It's open-ended, and a lot of different people can take a lot of different things from it. So that's the way they communicate to a planet, let's say. It's not like, words and, you just, decipher it. It's, here's the event, and what do you make of that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's open-ended. It's not a string of words like the way we communicate. The universal language is action. So, if somebody kicks you in the pants, you don't have to figure out, that somebody's upset with you. Whereas if you said it, the same thing in words, maybe you might take it all kinds of different ways. You see what I'm saying? A kick in the pants is very direct and it's very visceral. And there's no question about it. And yet, there's a lot of interpretations that you can make.
Well, what is an example of an event that's happened? If you could, I know there's three, right? Okay. And if you, give us an example. Well,
the most famous one was a comet that appeared in March of '93, And it was a very unusual comet because it was a string of 21 cometlets. It was not a single comet, it was 21 comets. From a few hundred meters to a few kilometers in diameter. And these comets were spotted first, as I say, in March of '93, and it was followed by astronomers for 16 months before all 21 of them impacted the planet Jupiter in '94. Now, that is the most energetic event ever seen in our solar system, in history. So it's a pretty powerful statement, and it was 21 of them, which obviously, refers to the 21st century, because at that time it was not 2000 yet. It was, it was from '93 to '94 when that event happened. So they were arguing, in a sense, as comets often do in the vernacular of human history, the 21st century, and so obviously they're, giving a 21-gun salute to our species, as it were. That's one of them. That's the most famous one. That was obviously covered, many ways in news and TV, and scientists went crazy about it for months and months, and there's a whole lot of data about it. And that's a big one. Even like backyard astronomers, with their little 2.5-inch wide telescope apertures, could see those impacts, and of course the comet could be seen by the naked eye too. But there was a comet string, not a single comet. That's what sets it apart from all other comets. Scientists had never seen such a thing before. It was totally, and they never even heard of that particular, seen that comet before. It was not like a recurring comet. It was a one-time only thing.
And do you think that was like a message from alien beings, like a 21-gun salute?
Well, comets historically have always augured future events, major events to happen, often very cataclysmic events, but not necessarily. In this case, obviously, it was cataclysmic in a sense, in terms of the megatonnage of explosions. They were like equivalent to 50 million atom bombs going off, but safely, on the planet Jupiter, not on Earth.
Yeah.
But they were making a statement there.
Well, I agree that comets are harbingers of change. You look at Hellbop, that was a really weird summer for me, and a lot of weird stuff happened, from the weird Heaven Gate stuff to, I don't know what else, but I know Hellbop was pretty bizarre. And then Ellen, that was just freaky weird. I'm still trying to figure out what the hell happened with that. There's so much stuff about that. Yeah. Hellbop, of course, was a spaceship, and Ellen was a spaceship with some kind of weird shield around it, which I'm not saying that's what it was. I'm just talking about what people were blabbering about. That committed suicide at Hellbop? Applewhite. Those dudes were weird. Let me tell you, the night I saw him on the news, he was talking, he looked like he was glowing. He was a weird dude. There's something weird going on about it. They were crazy, but there was still something out of the ordinary about those people that was definitely bizarre. The neighbors said they were the nicest people ever. They were like Trekkies, and they would help the neighbors and stuff, and it was just a weird thing. But I guess, Jerry, you got anything up your sleeve there?
Well, actually, I think that's, I hadn't heard, someone tying that comet into those comet incidents, or, multiple ones there, with extraterrestrial activity. However, I'm now thinking about, in hindsight, relating to some of the the information some of our contacts have given us, relating to stuff going on in space. It seems to correlate with persistent agitator somewhere out like in the solar system that enjoyed throwing comets this way. They called it Nemesis, which I thought it was kind of funny because it seemed to some of the, the Nibiru stuff and all this other stuff. And so I do find that intriguing. So so it leads me to my question here is what was there any indicators that you got that led you specifically to believe that was the case, that this was a signal to us from?
Well, there was a very similar impact event that happened earlier in '92, and that particular event was the most famous up to that point, the most scientifically studied, the most publicity, the most unusual, the most visible, conspicuous meteor event ever seen up to that point in '92. And that one was the precursor to Shoemaker-Levy 9, which is the name of the comet string. And that precursor contained the date when Shoemaker-Levy 9 would appear, and that was March of '93. And that information was provided by that earlier event. It's called the Peekskill meteor event in '92. And well, the reason why I put those together is, you see, in October 12th of 1992, NASA was commencing a 10-year, $100 million project to search for extraterrestrials. This is the first time NASA had ever, done such a thing, and it was the most powerful SETI project ever designed, and it was paid for by Congress, and as an act of Congress, and they had all the money they needed to basically really scan the closely the first 100 light years out from Earth. There was another phase of the project that looked a little further out, but primarily it was that 100 light years closest to Earth, and they were looking for Type G and Type F stars, which are the type of stars that believe would contain life, or could have life on them. So these F and G spectral type stars were being scanned on October 12th. Now, the Peekskill event occurred October 9th. Okay, that was 3 days before. So the Peekskill event was sort of pointing up that project, and it just so happened that project was commenced on the 500th anniversary of Columbus's discovery of America, which was if you remember, that was the big quincentennial event, October 12, 1992, the 500th anniversary. It was a hemispheric celebration, and so NASA chose that particular date, and it was a little bit rich in the sense that, well, from an extraterrestrial point of view, they might look at that and say, well, this is, humans coming out to, cause all kind of havoc, because, that's what happened to the New World after Columbus got here. Basically it was a catastrophe for the indigenous people. They were just wiped out by one thing or another. And then the conquistadors came a few years later and just killed everybody in sight. So the extraterrestrials were making a remark about that. We're kind of a rejoinder about that pairing of events. To commence a project like that on that particular date, the 500th anniversary. So that's why they did the Peekskill event. But the Peekskill event had the date of the Shoemaker-Levy 9 event, which was the comet event, and so you can link those two events, and that's what I did. And I researched everything I could find about the details of those two events, and I came up with an extraordinary amount of very interesting coincidences and allusions and all kinds of things were going on in there, and then I could see that there was actually a message there. The book will detail all those those different message units, as it were.
Gotcha. And then one thing that I want to ask about, what's the deal with the damaged car in the book? The picture.
Well, that's what the meteor hit. The Peekskill meteor hit that car, but it didn't just hit a car like the newspaper said. It hit it precisely impacted the right taillight of the car. Now, the taillight of that car was about 5 inches by 21 inches. It was a Chevrolet taillight, and it's 5 by 21, and it's surrounded by chrome. Okay, you've got this bumper right smack below it, and a thin chrome accent immediately above it. So the 5-inch wide meteor hit that 5-inch wide taillight target precisely, taking out the taillight and leaving the chrome basically completely unfazed. So it was a precise hit, and so it was aimed at that target. Now it just so happened that the NASA agency was the Ames Research Center, and they were conducting what they called the targeted search for ETI or extraterrestrials. So you have Ames Research Center commencing the targeted search. So as a response, they aimed a meteor at that target, which was a 5 by 21 inch target, and hit it precisely. Now the license plate of the car had the date. That's why they picked that particular car. The date of Shoemaker-Levy 9. Now, Shoemaker-Levy 9 was a string of 21 comets, as I mentioned, but the Peekskill event, or the Peekskill fireball, was a meteor string also. It was photographed to have about 70 fragments in it, and that was a meteor string as well. So you have that further link of those two events. So they're heralding NASA's alien hunt on the quincentennial with Peekskill, but Peekskill is heralding Shoemaker-Levy 9, which is the 21 comets hitting Jupiter. So those two events will contain, through the details, there are a lot of details, the message, for lack of a better word. There are lots of allusions made. As I said, you've got aims, you've got targeted search, you've got aiming at that target, you've got the license plate, and then you've got the flight path. The flight path was such that, and this was documented in scientific papers, as a 700-kilometer flight path, and it began in West Virginia, and it went in a northeasterly direction to Peekskill, New York, which was, the name of the event, the Peekskill event. And of course, in the word Peekskill, you have the words peak and skill. So here's a peek at our skill at that, aiming at that target, which is perfectly clear, to me anyway. So you have Peekskill, and you have Shoemaker-Levy 9. But then there was a third event, which is a little strange, but I don't know if I want to get into it right now. But it'll be harder for people to accept. But it is what it is. But let's focus on those two anyway. The flight path was such that Washington D.C. had the best possible seat from which to watch it go by. In other words, Washington D.C. was the midpoint of the flight path. Okay, so that meant that Washington had the best viewing of it. And in fact, when the fireball was even with Washington, it broke apart into those 70 odd fragments. So you had like a sort of a pyrotechnic display there for the benefit of the of the people who actually funded the project, the High Resolution Microwave Survey Project, which was another word for SETI. And this SETI was about 10 million times faster than any previous SETI project. So, they did more searching for extraterrestrials in 2 minutes than all the previous SETI projects combined for the previous 50 years. In 2 minutes they did it. So this was a 10-year project. So imagine how much, searching they could do in 10 years.
Yeah. So what do you mean by extrasolar beings exactly?
Well, extraterrestrial. They're extraterrestrial. It's just another word for extraterrestrial.
Okay, I've never heard them called that before. I've had experiences before where I saw beings of light that were, I call them luminous beings in shamanism, and I've seen those, and I thought of those when I saw that extrasolar, like I guess solar sun. I thought of beings of light for some reason.
Yeah. Well, you have extraterrestrial, terrestrial meaning the Earth, but then you have extrasolar, which is, the sun. The solar sun,
yeah.
So it's beyond the sun, it's beyond the terrestrial Earth. So it's not from our solar system. There's nobody that I know of that can do that.
I definitely believe our spirits are connected to the sun on some level, and I have seen beings of light that look like they just walked right out of the sun or something bizarre like that, like angels. So there's definitely something to that solar thing, no doubt about it, from my perspective and experiences and everything. So I was reading the letter from Dr. Seth Shostak from SETI, and what was his response to some of your stuff? I don't know. His response seemed kind of jerky to me, but what was your perspective of it?
Oh, boy. Well, I had a long sort of travail with the Ames Research Center and the people at NASA. I told them about what I had perceived about these events, excuse me, and I told them, hey, this is because of what you did, carrying a powerful SETI project on the 500th anniversary of Columbus, and they don't, see it the way you do, maybe. You should look at this seriously. This is serious stuff here. And the response was basically just laughed it off. So that kind of, irked me a bit.
It kind of irked me when I heard it.
It probably irked the extraterrestrials that designed it, too,
My view of SETI, I'm not going to say this is completely accurate, but I believe they found all kinds of stuff. They've just been hushed up pretty much. So that's pretty much my view of SETI in a nutshell.
Well, they're either very, very stupid or very, very arrogant. I don't know which it is. I mean, they're either lying and not disclosing or admitting that they made this sort of faux pas, or they're lying.
Yeah,
one or the other. I don't know what it is, but it's one or the other.
I think it's lying. I think they've been hushed, is what I think. Could be wrong, but that's my Jerry.
I also think they're being exploited through the whole academic arrogance, like you were saying there, Thomas, because, even the crop formation that formed right outside of one of their satellite arrays, that's one of the most famous crop circle responses, as they call it, the SETI response. No, Doug and Dave snuck in and did that. It's like, okay, sure.
Swamp gas.
Yeah, swamp gas, of course. Of course.
Yeah.
Forgot about that, refracting from Venus or something, whatever. So.
Yeah, I don't trust them. Most of these organizations that center around UFOs, I don't trust them. They're spook nests. But not all of them, just a lot of them. So I was reading in your bio, it says, throughout his life he has maintained an avid interest in both science fiction and extraterrestrial possibility, not UFOs, and has published extensively in these and other areas for almost 40 years. What's the not UFOs for, exactly? I'm trying to understand that first.
I'm not really that interested in UFOs. I never really was. I mean, I was when I was a teenager and in my 20s. You know, I knew all the UFO people in New York City very well. People like Jim Mosley and Tim Beckley and Harold Salkin from NICAP. People like John Keel, you know, was one of our group. So, you know, I kind of grew up with them, and I went to the symposiums and the lectures and the this and that, and I just sort of kind of lost interest because I just didn't see it. It didn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
But I've always been interested in extraterrestrials because I'm a science fiction reader from almost a baby. So I dream of extraterrestrials. I don't dream of UFOs. I don't dream of the cars. I dream of the minds, you know, the beings.
You're more interested in the beings than the technology. And plus with UFOs is such a complicated subject. So many people are so quick anytime they see a UFO to automatically think it's an alien, but there's so much stuff going on. I mean, back in the 60s or whatever, I mean, there's weird Nazi technology stuff of them messing around with that kind of stuff. Nowadays, there's drones, which I've had drones out at the property, and when other families members have seen them, they'd be like, that's a UFO. I go, no, it's probably a drone. So now these days, I lean more towards drone than the alien. But it's just, you got to have some discernment to UFOs, and a lot of people just don't have that at all. They just want to automatically think it's ET, you know, whatever they see, it's ET. But not to say those aren't out there, but a lot of people just need some more discernment, I think, and when it comes to UFOs and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of them today probably are secret aircraft, you know, stealth aircraft or you know, just exotic technology, or even holograms that have been perfected. And I mean, you know, the government has a lot of money to spend on this kind of stuff, and especially, you know, it's all secret. So,
yeah,
you know, the UFO or the alien spacecraft is a great cover for them. You know, they can hide all kinds of stuff because people will just, it's just from another planet or it's from another star system or something. It's, you know, it's not the government. Yeah, but you know, I grew up in Washington, you know, D.C., so I'm kind of, you know, sort of sensitive to you know, what Washington does, you know, and you know, I've always suspected that a great deal of these things are either, you know, secret craft or other kinds of things. And of course, you know, in my association with the UFO crowd in New York City in my 20s, I became kind of privy to sort of like, you know, a lot of the hoaxes, you know, because what a serious investigator does is he tries to track down, you know, what the truth of the matter is, and a lot of times they end up being hoaxes. So, you know, fool me once, fool me twice. I mean, I just kind of copped out, you know, of the UFO thing.
Probably a good decision on many levels, because it's a complex thing, and it's like I said, discernment is definitely much needed when dealing with UFOs, no doubt about it, for sure. So, Jerry, anything on your alien noodle?
Well, actually, I like like what you said about, you know, when you think about the subject, you're thinking about the beings that are piloting them, not the vehicles. And I think that was a great analogy about not thinking about the cars, so to speak. So I appreciate that really. And so that kind of answers, I guess, a little bit of the question earlier about, you know, how you got interested in this, hearing, you know, the environment you kind of came up in there. So it makes me wonder, like, have you had any encounters yourself that you kind of classify either as extraterrestrial or kind of unknown or anything?
It's funny you asked that. There was one case where there was this UFO researcher who wrote some books. I forget her name, but she was very famous at the time. I guess this was sometime in the 1980s. She was a PhD in music. She's a composer, but she had this little hobby, which she got quite a bit of publicity on it. And so I contacted her, and so we went out to this field in New Jersey or wherever it was, and where there's supposed to be a lot of UFO sightings. So I said, okay, I'll go. And went out there and at night, and I saw this orangey globe, light really, just standing there in the air. It wasn't the moon. It wasn't a star or anything or a planet. It was just too big. And I said, hey, there's something there, And this lady, I forget her name, she just kind of just tossed it off. It wasn't like as if she knew what it was. She wasn't telling me what it was. But then later that night, she was like seeing all these motherships coming on. I didn't see them. I didn't see any motherships, but she saw them. See, so I mean, it's all based on what you know about aerial phenomenon. I mean, she knew what that was, what I saw, what I couldn't identify, and I certainly couldn't identify anything that she saw because I couldn't see anything. So a lot of it's just perception and training as a visual observer of aerial phenomena. Some people, like Martin Caden, for example, have tremendous experience with aerial phenomena. And in my book, I mentioned two UFO encounters that he had working with jets. He was a flyer. He worked for Blue Book, and he wrote a lot of books, aerial phenomenon and aerial history, and he was a very sophisticated observer of these things, and he had chased them many times in jets. And sometimes he was able to figure out what they were because, they were able to find out what it was. There was something called inversion layers, which is sort of like a bouncing of images from a large body of water. So it will, if it's a boat, you'll see like the wake of the boat, and then that somehow in certain conditions that will be flipped up to the sky, and so you see an image or like a shadow of that in the sky, and he says, "Well, that's a UFO," but in fact it's a boat, in a body of water somewhere. Other times it's a jet that has been under certain circumstances, the wings will disappear, and all you see is a disc. And the wings are obscured by various phenomena, aerial phenomena, which he understands very well. Other times, but there's always a couple that they can't explain. They just totally baffle them, and those are the ones that are interesting, of course, but they can't be explained. So even Martin, a very sophisticated, was not able to explain all of them. And as I say, he chased them in jets, him and his buddies.
Cool. It reminds me when you were talking about someone seeing a UFO next to you and you didn't see it. I've had that happen where I've seen something and then someone next to me couldn't see it at all, and it was just weird.
Right. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
it's a perception thing, I think. It reminds me of a story I shared with me and Ted Rowe talked about from NARCAP. Ted Rowe, there's a story about this shaman. He's on the beach, and he sees all these ships out in the ocean, like, not spaceships, but like boats, like back in the, Spanish and Mayan days and the Aztec and all that stuff, and, when the white man came. And he's warning all the people in the village or whatever that they're coming, that there's these boats out there. And they come and they look and they don't see the boats, and they laugh at the shaman. They can't see them for some reason. And he can. Then later they come and they all see them, and then of course you know how that took place. But the shaman, I guess, saw them with his, he could fathom it with his perception, but for some reason the other people couldn't at that particular time. And it's kind of a weird parallel to UFOs on a lot of levels too. There's a technical name to the story, but I can't remember it. Ted would know it. I don't remember it. But Magellan's theory, something weird like that. I don't remember.
Well, the weird thing is that we're always, throughout history, we human beings have always been trying to find some other, intelligent form, life form. And we've invented all kinds of names for them, and even God, Bigfoot, elves, it depends on what period of history. Now, in our current modern age, of course, we're going with UFOs as the sort of unexplained phenomenon that we're ready for it. Whereas in the 15th century, they wouldn't have been ready for that. So whatever age you're in is what you're going to see based on the belief system of that age. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was just recently telling somebody, and I'm in the Bigfoot community a lot, or I interview a lot of people, but I was saying Bigfoot's like the new religion. These people are treating it like it's some kind of religion or something lately. I mean, with the DNA findings lately from Melville Ketchum and David Paulides about, 15,000 years ago, a caveman type being shagged a regular human and made Bigfoot. But anyway, I hang out on a lot of those Bigfoot sites, and people are crazy there fighting about that stuff. Just, it's crazy. It's like, but yeah, the Bigfoot thing, I'm involved in that a lot. I love it. I have a Bigfoot fetish. But, where's Joe? I don't see Joe. Is it time for a break, Joe? Is Joe awake? He'll tell us shortly. But, we have another hour of the show. Do you have a website link that you want to share or anything, Thomas?
Right. I don't have one yet. I did have one way back in the 90s and the early 2000s, but I don't anymore.
Okay.
It was called what was it? It was called Eddie Grill.
All right. Is that how you say Eddie Grill or ETI Grill? Because I've been saying ETI Grill. It's Eddie Grill?
Yeah, I pronounce it Eddie, as in it's if it was spelled ETTY or something.
Gotcha.
Eddie. Yeah.
Eddie. What does that mean? Like extraterrestrial intelligence?
Yeah, ETI is the abbreviation for extraterrestrial intelligence. ETI.
Okay. And then Grail, is that kind of like a reference to the Holy Grail, like a cup or of knowledge, or?
A quest.
A quest, okay.
Yeah, a quest. A quest for some intelligent other besides ourselves, which we've been looking for 10,000 years, if not more.
Most assuredly, and definitely an interesting book, and it's it was at Balboa Press, and where's the best place to grab it at? Amazon or Balboa Press or either?
So almost any bookseller has it.
Cool.
If you Google it, you'll see about 20 different booksellers that are selling it now.
Yeah, it's great, and it's definitely worth checking out. Trying to see if Joe's awake, if we're going to take a break or not. But one thing I wanted to say real quick before I find that out is I just got a giant box full of Sasquatch T-shirts from SasquatchPrints.com. They're a sponsor for a radio show, and basically they hooked me up with a bunch of shirts. I'm poor, so I barely buy clothes, so I got all these free Sasquatch shirts, and all I have to do is plug them. So go to SasquatchPrints.com and get some cool Sasquatch shirts.
Sounds good.
That's awesome.
They're awesome. They are. They're awesome. There's one like the Da Vinci with the guy with the arms and stuff, but it's the Sasquatch.
Nice. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we're going to take a 8 to 10 minute break real quick, and we'll be back with Thomas N. Hackney, the Eddie Grail. And you're listening to UFO Radio Network, and stop by church-of-Mabus-radio.com and mingle, and stop by some of our sponsors. And we'll be back shortly with Thomas. See you in a few.
On the flip side, you can catch us every Saturday night, 8 p.m. Central, where we will be discussing current events and topics going on in the world. We have opinions on everything. There's no topic that we won't discuss, and we'll go places that other shows wouldn't dare. False history gets made all day, every day. The truth of the new is never on the news, but you can catch it here, News on the Flip Side, only on the UFO Paranormal Radio Network.
Hi, everybody. This is Erica Getch. I hope to see you on Friday at 8 p.m. Pacific on the Galactic Connection, keeping you connected 1 hour at a time. For more information, please visit thegalacticconnection.com.
Breaking news. Strange black pyramid UFO ships over every major city on the Earth. People are exhilarated and scared. Reptilian strange creatures are beaming down. My God, they're beaming me up with them. Don't put that probe there. Don't put that probe there. Don't put ooh. Listen to the Church-of-Mabus radio show at 11 p.m. Eastern, Saturday nights with host Jeffrey Pritchett, bringing you the high strange. Visit www.churchofmabusradio.com. That's www.churchofmabusradio.com.
Tune in to the Mind Cemetery with your host, Chippin, every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern.
Exclusively on the UFO Paranormal Radio Network. We delve into UFOs, abductions, ghosts, aliens, conspiracies, and cryptozoology.
And how could you ever forget about those creeps you won't hear on your local news?
This is where I would insert my obligatory skeptical statement. The Mind Cemetery, where the paranoia about the paranormal comes to rest.
Follow us on Twitter and subscribe to us on Facebook. Also, check us out on our website, mindcemetery.com, for show updates and the critically acclaimed Mind Cemetery blog.
It's not critically acclaimed, but you should check it out anyway, mindcemetery.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, the world needs to hear the truth.
From the general public on this subject.
Hey, everyone. I'm not sure if Jeff's there. Jeff, you with us?
Hello?
How about Thomas? No, Jeff? Is that you? Or is that Thomas? Jeff? Thomas, you still with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Awesome. Okay, well, actually, it looks like Jeff, his line got dropped there for a second, so that makes more sense. I'm like, I wonder where Jeff went. Should I be introing this now? I guess that's why I'm here, you know.
Hello?
Hey, Jeff. There you are. Yeah, we're just...
It was weird. My phone was showing that it was still on, but it wasn't on.
Oh, yeah.
How weird.
This barely showed you were disconnected here. I was like waiting for you to do the intro, and I'm like, uh-oh. So I went ahead and just checked. So.
I did the intro, but I guess I wasn't on.
it wasn't. Didn't come out here. It was just dead air. So I'm like, probably not normal. So.
Welcome back to the Church-of-Mabus radio show. Our guest is Thomas N. Hackney, the Eddie Grill, and our co-host tonight is Jerry Avalos. He's still here, so not was, is and is. Next Saturday is Stephen Sochit. We're going to be discussing weird Hollywood stories with like Jack Nicholson, Vincent Price, and just some eclectic, really strange stories from Hollywood from Stephen Sochit. And he's like the king of these weird, like, Hollywood stories. Beelzebub's going to be co-hosting with that one. And then, oh man, now I forgot who my other guy. Oh, Donald Ray Walton is the next week after that with his he writes for Fate magazine, and when he was younger he used to shock himself with a wall socket to get alien technology out of his body, so that should be interesting. But he also has an alien Knight Rider car, which is like that car from Knight Rider, but it's like alien. It's really weird. He goes to conventions and stuff and wears a cowboy hat. I didn't know he was related to April Page Slaughter. I've interviewed her before. He told me that recently. And then our last guest of the month is Dr. Turi. Yeah. We're going to be talking about Nostradamus and the Antichrist and all that stuff. And yeah, Jerry, you're going to be there with me for that one, right?
Yeah, definitely. I've met Dr. Turi a few times now at the conferences here. He's an entertaining fellow, to say the least.
Yeah.
He has a lot of knowledge, a lot of insight into a lot of things. So he plays one mean piano, let me tell you. He's freaking amazing. So.
Yeah, he's a trip. He's the only guy on here I've ever got who will talk about Nostradamus. A lot of people are scared of the Mabus name, I guess because they see all those documentaries and stuff. Like I've asked John Hogue, he ignores me. It's hard to find someone to talk about Nostradamus. So I guess they don't like church and Mabus in the same thing, because supposedly Mabus means something spooky, but nobody really knows what it means. I mean, Nostradamus never said it meant Antichrist. He just used it. No one knows what the hell that means, but Nostradamus and like God. But he's going to talk to us about it. And he has also a lot of weird stuff about Obama, and he's just a fountain of weird knowledge that will be very interesting. So that'll be a good one for sure. All righty. Well, let's get back to Thomas. And Thomas, are you prepared to talk about that third event that we'll take some time to talk about?
Yeah, if you insist.
I insist.
All right, I'm warning you here. All right, well, okay, October 7th, 1992, there was the third one. That was actually the first event. As we recall, the Peekskill event occurred on the 9th of October, and then Shoemaker Levy 9, the comet, appeared in March of 93 and went on to July of 94 when it hit Jupiter, all 21 seconds. But on October 7th, it was just a little story in the Daily News from the Associated Press about this guy in West Virginia. I live in West Virginia, by the way. The guy was cleaning his guns, okay, in the morning, on the morning of the 7th, and he had a 33 and a .42 and a Magnum from the big yeah. So, okay, he's cleaning the first one, which is basically just a pop gun, and he shoots himself in the right foot. Okay. All right, so it wasn't too bad. It was just a pop gun. So he continues cleaning that, and moves on to the next gun, which is a larger gun, and he cleans that, and he shot himself again in the right foot. He shot himself in the right. Okay, all right, well, he bandages himself up, have a few more beers, pain goes away. Then he cleans the 357 Magnum. All right. And he's cleaning the 357, and he shot himself again in the right foot again with the big gun, which has a hollow point, and that one hurt like hell. So it was just a little 2-inch little story in the Daily News of New York, and it appeared on the same page actually as the Peekskill story, which was 2 days later, but they sometimes they put them together. And I happened to notice it because it was on the same page as the Peekskill story, Peekskill event story. So, I sort of didn't think much of it at first, but then it kind of, all kind of came together, okay? First of all, the Peekskill meteor was first seen over West Virginia, okay? 700 kilometers out from Peekskill. And secondly, the fact that he shot himself in the right foot. Now, it was the right taillight of the car that was pulverized by the Peekskill meteor, okay, which started in West Virginia. The thing about it was that he shot himself 3 times in the right foot. Okay. Now, on the license plate, you have 933, which is the date of Shoemaker Lady 9. Okay. That's what the extraterrestrials are pointing to. They're showing you this, and in fact, they even underline it because they take the chrome accent above the taillight, and they kind of move it down over those 3 numbers, 933. And 933 is significant for many, many reasons, which I get into the book, but in addition to being the date of when Shoemaker Levy 9 would occur, it was also 3 days before, NASA began the high-resolution wave survey, which was the SETI project, and it was also 3 days before the American quincentennial. And, of course, the 9 represents the date, October 9 is when it happened. So you have 3 times 3 equals 9. When, you pair those 2 things together, it's not just, an addition, you're multiplying them. 3 times 3 is 9, or 3 squared is 9. And, but that was a reference to what NASA was doing on the 12th, 3 days later, okay? But then it occurred to me, okay, well, why are they pointing this out? Why would they point this out, a guy shooting himself in the right foot? Well, it's that human, saying, when you shoot yourself in the foot. When you shoot yourself in the foot, what are you doing? You're being your own worst enemy in a sense. So that's sort of like the third one. The aliens are saying, humans, you humans are shooting yourselves in the foot. You have a tendency to shoot yourself in the foot, let's say, okay? And that's that's the human condition, as it were. So it's just a little thing, but it did provide the third signal that sort of tied it all together, because everything is 3s here. You have 3 days, 3 times 3 is 9, 3 squared is 9, 3 cubed is 27, okay? 27 happened to be the weight of the peak scale meteor, 27.3 pounds, which was put in the Museum of Natural History along with the car. All kinds of little things like that, and of course, 9.3 is the astronomical unit, the basic measurement that scientists use to measure space, and 93 million miles. And Earth is the third planet, so it's like a handle for Earth. Earth has an astronomical unit of 93 million miles, which is the average distance around which the Earth revolves around the Sun. That's what astronomers use. So, when they say, the nearest star is 4.3 light years, they're referring to the astronomical unit, 4.3 light years, or 4.3 astronomical units. From Earth to Alpha Centauri, approximate. Let's see, what else you got? Oh, well, you've got this allusion also to what scientists predicted or calculated the date that Shoemaker-Levy 9, the parent comet, broke apart into 21 pieces. Okay, that was supposed to have happened July 7th, 1992, which happens to be 93 days or 3 months before the peak scale event. And all these little, like mathematical allusions and games are all tied in, so that it sort of indicates that this is all intelligently designed. All has been nailed, basically. If you look at the taillight of the car, you see how precisely it entered that car. There's no room for error. There's zero room for error there. You either hit the taillight squarely with that meteor, or you damage one or the other chrome, either the bumper or the chrome accent, because they're like borders to the taillight, north and south. I assume you've seen that picture, right, Jeffrey? On the back
Yes.
Back of the book.
Yes.
And you can see how the chrome accent above it kind of overscores the numbers 933, which is what they're trying to tell us. They're trying to portend, as it were, the appearance of Shoemaker-Levy 9 in March of 93, which is 933. 1993, the third month, 933. And obviously, peak scale event and Shoemaker-Levy 9 are basically the same type of event. They're meteor impacts, and they're strings. The peak scale meteor was a string of meteors. It wasn't just one meteor. It was like 70 meteors that was broke apart, right near Washington, D.C., to provide that aerial show. And it just goes on like that. And there's so many things that indicate intelligence that it's beyond the pale, really. There's no way that this could be just an accident, all this stuff. And in fact, that the odds of a meteor just hitting a car was calculated to be about 1 in a billion or 1 in a few billion by various scientists at the time. But the odds of hitting a 5-inch meteor, 5-inch wide meteor, hitting a 5-inch target precisely is probably hundreds of billions to 1. Because there's no room for error there. It's got to be precise. A 5-inch rock hitting a 5-inch target, leaving all the chrome around it, intact. You understand? And this is what I was trying to point out to the people at the Ames Research Center. With their targeted search, which was their SETI program. But there's no way that could be an accident of nature. It's just a fluke. It's just ridiculous. no, it's perfectly natural. There's it could happen. Yes, it could happen. It's possible that it could happen, but the odds are just ridiculous against it. So rather than admit that they made an error or a faux pas, they went with the it's a coincidence line and saved their ass. Because they're obviously, I don't think they're going to admit that they made a serious faux pas by activating their SETI project on the 500th anniversary of Columbus discovered America.
Yeah.
They're just not going to do that. They thought it was clever and kind of, good to do that. But what they were conveying to the galaxy out there was something different, and it's serious. This was the first sort of big act that our planet communicated to the stars. And maybe there are some out there that took a rather dim view of it, and wanted to point it out. But NASA refused to be pointed out to, let's put it that way.
So I'm looking at Chapter 13, well, Eddie called the United Nations, and recently I posted up some paperwork that was top secret from Thomas Reed that it was basically this meeting that took place at the United Nations that they discussed extraterrestrial life, and he was there, and Bruce Maccabee and Stan Friedman, and they had a meeting about extraterrestrial stuff there, and I actually have this paperwork that proves that they were there having this meeting. I'm curious what your thoughts are on the United Nations and all this, and what you talk about in your book about it.
Well, I do have a chapter on the United Nations, historically, with regard to extraterrestrials. My feeling is that, I'm not a fan of the United Nations, okay?
Me neither.
I'm a little biased, I guess. Anything I would say would probably not be something that some people would want to hear, but I would love for the United Nations to acknowledge my book. And that would be great for me, but I'm not holding my breath.
They're a bunch of jerkwads, like most government scenarios.
Yeah.
But the government's used the alien agenda to their advantage with their covering up their technology for so long. It's just, I guess, reaches a point of confusion to figure out what the hell's going on with it, or madness. From what's the story about Greg Bishop? We've interviewed him about Paul Benowitz. He saw some a book called Project Beta. He saw some UFO stuff, and it turned out it was government technology at a base near him, and they basically came out there and started messing with his head and fed him the whole alien story to cover it up, and he kind of went crazy and passed away from it. There's all kinds of weird stories like that they use the alien stuff to cover up their secret projects and all that stuff, which is misfortunate because the real stuff that happens, it gets overlooked because you don't know what's what anymore. If it's the government, shanking you with their mind manipulation, or if it's the real deal Holyfield, it's hard to tell anymore.
Well, we have to be very careful, with the whole UFO scene, in that, a government could, or a body like the United Nations could use that phenomenon as a kind of a psychological control mechanism for the planet. They would say, we are in touch with the aliens, and this is all totally secret. You cannot know about this, but you have to take our word for everything. And the aliens say Number one, we have to take all your guns, and we have to put you in a kind of a one world situation, because the aliens don't like all these different countries, So they could say anything and say that the aliens told them that, and people don't believe that, if they're susceptible to it. So as long as it's secret, you don't know what they're doing. But the wonderful thing about the reality of this is that, see, the real extraterrestrials, the ones that I'm talking about, they made their signals available to all of mankind, to everybody. It was secrecy proof, So, I mean, if they were to communicate with us by radio waves, which is what the SETI paradigm will look for, you could almost expect that the governments would just clamp a secrecy stamp on it and just not tell you. So the extraterrestrials know that. They understand how governments play secret games and would not let the population know. And if they did let them know, they would spin it to their advantage, to spin it or lie about everything. The real extraterrestrials we're not going to let that happen. And so this is why they did what they did. It's available to everybody. And these events were huge news items at the time.
Exactly, and Jerry, you got anything to add?
One of the things that one comment I guess I wanted to make was that I like your approach using associative logic in relation to this your investigations, and on that note, I keep hearing NASA and Ames come up. So at this point, do you feel that they know more than they're telling us, or is there any indicators that you've gotten just firsthand that they're just trying not to share certain things?
There's no way I could know that, but my gut feeling is they have nothing, zero, zip. They don't have anything. That's my gut.
Yeah, interesting. It would seem like, just from the research that I've done with the various groups I've been working with, it seems like that's the case, you could say, a municipal part of NASA. It seems like there's definitely a part that doesn't seem to look forward, even in technology, when there's supposed to be some of the most, advanced technological associations there. But that was one of the things that I was just wondering what your take was. I know usually a lot of researchers in the UFO, you're not really a ufology, like you say, you're not really interested in UFOs, but extraterrestrial researchers, shall we say, usually run into something that, have an opinion about this. So I figured I'd ask you, since, it seems that you have tried to contact them directly and aren't seeing this associative logic, which, the math behind that of the odds of, the meteor just happened to be hitting that one spot and just happened to be associating with these other things. It's, pretty slim chance that was just random,
Mm-hmm. Was there a question there, though?
That time, no, actually, I was more of just a commentary, but I was just wondering, the question was really more about what your take on NASA was.
Well, I mean, I don't think NASA has anything. I don't think anybody has anything. I think the real extraterrestrials are so far ahead of us that they don't even have to, I mean, they know what we're going to do before we do it, practically, if they want to know. I think that their approach, is hands off, basically, and they really don't want to have a whole lot to do with us in our present, state. This is a planet that is, a horror story. Okay, it's a horror story as far as they're concerned. And to intermingle with creatures like us, it was so beneath them that it's just not going to happen unless we get our act together. I mean, we're a mess. Just look at us. I mean, wars, constant wars, genocides every few years, killing millions and hundreds of millions of people per century, and they're probably gearing up for another World War III thing anytime. For all we know, it's just horrible. This place. That's the way to look at it.
Definitely,
Great music. We have wonderful music and art and literature and stuff, but the downside is so down that they just can't have anything to do with us. You can't trust us.
Got that right. That's one thing I was going to tell Jerry, just kind of off topic, but not really, is I just read that conspiracy theory Ventura show's canceled forever. Did you hear that?
I didn't hear that.
No, I didn't hear that either.
Yeah.
That's intriguing.
It's gone. It's gone. They pulled an episode about body scanners causing cancer at the airport, wouldn't let them air it. And their last one was that Brain Invaders episode with the Gwen Tower shooting microwave waves at people and the voice weapons of God. And Taylor, I guess, pulled it, Time Warner, and it's gone. That's the last I read. It's over. But one thing that's interesting, I didn't know it, but I know you know who Dave Corso and stuff is, and the guy in the white van on that show and stuff, and I know you know a lot about the history. But early last year, I was interviewed by him, and I didn't even know who it was at all. The guy named Thomas Hughes, he's a Sasquatch dude, told me to do the radio show, and they interviewed me. And then later I saw the guy in the white van and put two and two together. I was like, he interviewed me. And I know he's a controversial kind of character, but it just shocked me. I didn't even know it was him who interviewed me until like a month ago, and that was 6 months after it happened. But that's the Super Soldier World. Down in Super Soldier World, which I try to avoid that genre of stuff now. None of the trouble. But I guess, Thomas, why my frustration with the aliens that are, I've seen some strange beings. I've seen some craft with multiple. After I was healed from cancer, my dad died, and I got into the occult a little bit and went a little cuckoo. I saw a lot of weird stuff. But it seems like they're always doing riddles, like, it's like, here, look at me for a minute, now we're gone. Here, look at our ship, now we're gone. And everything seems to be this riddle me this, like you're in a Batman comic book and you're playing the riddle.
There's good reasons for it. I mean, I just went into it. They cannot probably, they have a codex. They have a system, and they have a policy with regard to, like, primitive, naive, planet-bound worlds like ours. They have a policy. And they will not disclose themselves completely. They can give you hints every now and then, to try and help you, but they cannot interfere directly, because that would interfere. I mean, that would spoil everything.
Yeah.
And if we were, if we had our act together, they would probably have a different policy, for planets that have gotten their act together. But for planets like ours, you can't touch us. We're just too primitive and too I don't know. I mean, it's not like all humans are this way. Is what the ruling classes what they do is what they don't like.
Yeah.
I mean, the average Joe like you and me, is probably perfectly fine for them. It's just that if they were to make official contact, a diplomatic contact with our planet, they'd have to deal with those creeps, because they control everything. They control the airways, they control the technology, and they have the government. I mean, they're not going to deal with our governments because you can't trust them. They have no. I don't know what the word is.
Integrity.
Integrity. There it is.
There you go.
They're completely amoral. Okay, they operate by realpolitik, which is a system of greed and consolidation of power and control, and they do whatever it takes to control everything, to own all the money, to control all the money, to make all the decisions. They are not moral. They have no ethics, and they're just not going to intermingle with that. There's no point to it.
Exactly.
So
they're just jerk off.
They're content just to watch, and if we get too aggressive, then they'll just put the hammer on us. But I mean, we're like a bee, like a wasp, okay? And the wasp has its own life, and but if the wasp is about to sting you, you're going to kill it, or do something to it, or gas it, or something. And most people would just kill it. They just smack it with a broom. We're that bee. We're that bee as far as they're concerned. No morality, no ethics. It's all BS. All the propaganda that you hear. It's all lies.
So I'm looking here, and I found that you live in an Earth Shelter home. What is that, like a Hobbit home? A Hobbit house?
Yep. Very much so.
It's your Hobbit house. That sounds cool.
Yeah, I was a big fan of The Lord of the Rings and Hobbit when I was a kid.
And that's really what you based it on? That's really what you based it on?
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm sure that had something to do with it. Yeah.
Oh. We got a freaking Hobbit here.
It's not a hole with ends of worms in it, though.
Yeah.
It's not a dank, wet, dirty hole. It's a Hobbit hole. And that's a difference. That means comfort. That's what the book says.
Yeah, I mean, I just saw The Hobbit. Let me tell you, they were in Bilbo Baggins' house, and it was pretty decked out. It was pretty nice, pretty sweet in there. So the dwarves came. Have you seen The Hobbit yet? Have you seen the new Hobbit yet?
Of course.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful, beautiful film.
It's just amazing filmmaking. I have to take my hat off to Jackson there. He's really
my only problem with it is we got to wait another year and another year. Yeah, but it's good. It's worth checking out. Another one, Django Unchained. I love that one too. But Hobbit's a masterpiece. Peter Jackson's just freaking the creator, and he's great. It's amazing. I'd have to say that's one of the best films I've seen in a long time. Just the special effects. And it's like the #1 movie on the earth right now. I'm pretty sure financially.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So you live in a Hobbit hole. Have you seen The Hobbit yet, Jared?
Yeah, I did. Actually, I had a chance to see the high frame rate version. I can't say enough cool stuff about that. The going from 24 frames to 48 makes a profound difference in just it actually brings out the quality of the film. And then also the immersion factor of you can actually see things very clearly, especially in like The Hobbit. There's a lot of action scenes, a lot of really fantastic situations that go on. You can actually see the fluidity of motion and everything. It's really amazing how they did that.
It's beautiful, really. Another thing I wanted to complain about is Colorado now has pot vending machines where you can just walk up and buy grams of pot for like $12, like a Coke machine. I'm complaining about it because I live in Florida and we're not going to see those for another 100 years because it sucks here.
Oh, might be easier to relocate, I guess.
I know. Everyone keeps telling me that, but it's a money thing. I don't have any money.
Well, one day we need to manifest that future.
Exactly. I'm I'm in several books right now. I'm about to be in Andy Colvin's Bigfoot book heavily, but my next thing is to write my book, and I'll make maybe I could take a trip to one of those vending machines.
During the book
Can you imagine that? I mean, here where I'm at in Florida, they treat pot like it's freaking crack cocaine or heroin or something if you get caught with it. Like, really? I mean, that's the mentality here. It's like, you got some pot on you, boy, what is that? Crack. You're going to prison. But to imagine that there's a town where there's just like vending machines everywhere, it sounds like heaven. You just walk up to it's like a stamp machine, but it's pot. You just walk up and, stick your money in, it gives you pot, and it's legal. Well, it's supposedly legal, but I'm not sure what the federal government's doing about that. But hopefully, Obama said it's not his top priority right now, but I'm sure that they're still going to try to bust them or something because they're crazy.
Yeah, I said the same thing about the medicinal collectives, but the raids increased during his administration. So I can see in the first term, fine, you got spillover from the first administration, but during the second administration, we better see less of that, or else we know he's just a damn dirty liar like the rest of them. So
exactly. Exactly. Do they have vending machines in California, or is that just a Colorado thing now?
I think that's just Colorado, because it's decriminalized here, but it's not fully legal. So, like, it's just a ticket if you have up to an ounce on you, pretty much, unless it's pretty obvious you're slanging or something. And then, obviously, we have the medicinal use, which, as we know, it's with the research, it's not going to hurt you, and it pretty much can help, at least alleviate the pain from various ailments. So, it's pretty readily available if you really want to look. And each town is a little different around here too. It's kind of funny. Like Sacramento, there's no brick and mortar places. It's all just delivery. But then you go to say, like Tahoe, it's like you have 5 like glaring signs on the main strip there. It's they're nonchalant names too. Not subtle. Not very subtle how they promote themselves either. So it's pretty interesting. So, but it does bring up the whole states' rights versus Fed right thing, which is going to be big.
Had to be born in the South, man. Alabama's trying to do it, but the governor said no matter what, he's not signing it, even if it passes. What an asshat. But the South, man. If it ever happens here, it'll be probably long after I croak from like 80 or something like that. It's sad state of affairs. Well, Thomas, what's in your future? You got any more books planned or anything else you're working on?
Yeah, I'm putting some notes together to follow up. I've got an article out. Just trying to get the house together. Fill in a few holes and and the like. Just living out here in the hills, in the country.
That's where I'm at. I'm in the sticks in Florida, and there ain't nothing out here but trees and deer and turkeys, and that's about it.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. The idea. My girlfriend's idea of, she says I need to be more social. I'm like, what? Go to Walmart? That's the only thing there is to do here.
Walmart. All the world.
Like, that's people's idea of being social, going to Walmart. Ain't nothing out here. Our church. I'll pass on that. But, you were just on Coast to Coast, too. How'd that go?
Oh, that was horrible. I really bombed on that one. I have to ask the audience not to listen on that, because I must have been scared to death or something. I don't know. I was not relaxed.
Who'd you get? You get George. George Snorri or Knapp?
It's such a huge show. It's so big. It's coast to coast, for God's sake. And I mean, I was just scared to death. I couldn't talk.
You just got nervous.
Yeah.
I've been there. It's the first few times you do that stuff, the anxiety hits you.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Now when the anxiety hits me, which is rare, I love it. I like that anxious feeling before you do a show, which it doesn't happen that often anymore, but when it does, I like it. I like to swim in it. It's like an adrenaline boost. But I could see how Coast to Coast could be a little nerve-wracking the first time.
Yeah, but for me it was. I mean, I've only spoken to a few stations, but I don't know. I just slipped out, I guess. I don't know what happened to me.
You had George Norrie?
George, yeah, I had George, yeah.
He went to sleeping through it, wasn't he? They call him George Snorri.
Well, it does help if you read the book, before you interview somebody. I don't think he read the book. He had a few words, a few lines to read, but I mean, to really understand what I'm talking about, you have to read the book.
Do they still make you write the questions for them to ask you?
Yep.
That's stupid. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. That's ridiculous. Hey, I want to interview you. Write the questions and I'll ask them to you. I just don't like that crazy.
But he's a really nice guy. He's really, very easy to talk to. He doesn't, come at you adversely. He's very accepting, and he's probably heard everything by now.
Yeah.
So he's just sort of like lets it flow. And,
it's just not very spontaneous. Write your own questions and I'll ask them to you. It's almost spontaneousness a little bit there, George.
Yeah.
But, all right, everybody. Well, we're down to the last 4 minutes. Listen to UFO Paranormal Radio Network. Make sure you stop by The-Church-of-Mabus-radio.com and visit some of our sponsors. Also, check out SasquatchPrints.com. They got some cool T-shirts there, Sasquatch, seriously, like the best ones I've ever seen. You can get Thomas's book at Amazon or anywhere, really. That's the Eddie Grill. And it's really worth checking out. It's some interesting stuff. It's a unique spin on the extraterrestrial intelligence situation and definitely worth the read. And also, we appreciate you doing the show, Thomas. I enjoyed it. You're the first show of the year, and I'm glad.
Oh, thank you, Jeffrey, and Jerry too.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Intriguing conversation.
Definitely. All right, Jerry, any departing words as we go into the wild blue yonder?
Yeah, thanks. And thank you again for having me as a co-host. It's always a fun time being on your show. And, really cool conversation we had here with Thomas, talking associative logic related to extraterrestrials, which doesn't happen every day, so it's kind of refreshing. But yeah, it was a fun time, and, be sure to check out my new endeavors with my partner, Tommy Hansen, at universaltruthevolution.com. There'll be a lot of coolness there. We're actually talking to some people right now from a place called Palladium Labs who are doing some amazing work with holographs. It's just, it's like magic, but it's actual applied quantum science. So we're hoping to have a report about that pretty soon up there.
Groovy, Daddy-O. And if you need a guest, I'm trying to do the circuit, baby. That's right.
Oh, yeah. I was just talking to Tommy about that before I came on the air. I need to give you some time to shine. You're always here providing the platform for everyone else to, do their thing. And, it's time for people to know more about you, too, Jeff.
All right, man. And everybody, hope you had happy holidays and welcome to the new year. We're leaving the year of a dragon and entering the year of a snake. Hopefully, I don't know if that's a good thing. Well, I guess we'll find out. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening and see you next Saturday. Good night.